Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to Future Fast Forward, part 2 of the series Mahathir's Secrets. But before I go to the main feature of my address this morning, I would like to make two breaking news announcements. You would have heard that as of yesterday, 3 former BSI bankers have been incarcerated already for their crimes involving money laundering 1 MDB. Yap Yu Chi, Yo Jay Wei, Yvonne Xia Yu Fong. We are told 2 more big wigs, ex-bankers are pending. One from BSI Bank and one from Falcon Bank. So it's very clear Jolo has no place to hide. It's a matter of time before the noose gets wrapped along his neck. Very interesting, following that announcement, there is another announcement which is mind-boggling. An open and shut case against Swiss bankers' prosecution in Singapore. Sandy Badgett, a Singapore-based lawyer at Freshfields Brockhouse Derringer, and former Deputy Director for Financial Securities Offences at the Singapore Agent's Office, is quoted in the article as saying, "It is unprecedented for MAS, that is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, to name individuals publicly that they have referred for investigation." That tells you something about the level of evidence they must have. And this statement was made in reference by Sandy Badgett to Hans-Peter Brunner, the former BSI head. So, this is a big wig from BSI Bank. And then, the second Swiss banker whose head is going to fall is the former Swiss bank manager Hans Stutzenegger, who has been charged with 16 counts of money laundering, including his failure to report the suspicious money that entered Tenor's account number 8550-29901 between 21st and 25th March 2013. And from this account, the money was laundered into Najib's personal account in M-Bank. His lawyer said that his client plans to plead guilty on all the charges. You will recall that the DOJ complaint for civil forfeiture have laid out the same evidence against the Falcon Bank and how the money ended up in N01 personal bank account, meaning Najib's bank's account. Now what I'm going to do quickly is now for you, get your handphone ready, press the pause button, okay? And I want you to take the extract of the following charge sheet against the bank manager of Falcon Bank. You got it? I count 5 seconds. Try the full set of this charge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Next charge. I give you 5 seconds to record with your handphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The extract of charge. You got it? Alright. Then, this is very important. One of the charges again, the 10th charge. I will count 5 seconds again for you to record. This banker was charged for wrongly testifying that he met Eric Tan actually he met Joe Low in giving instructions to transfer money to the largest bank account. You got it? Charge 11. When you read it at home, your own sweet time, I will not elaborate. This is a self-explanatory. 5 seconds, you got it? The 12th charge. I give 5 seconds to record it. Alright? The 14th charge. So, read those words underlined in each of the charge, and you realize how grave and significant are these charges against the branch manager of Franklin Bank. You got it? Alright. So that covers the criminal proceedings against the Swiss bankers or above the Singapore bankers. Now, breaking news. This is document 69. Document 69 in the DOJ case in California, filed by the DOJ. This is the application for judgment in default against Joe Low. Alright? For failing to appear in that civil suit. Number 216 CV 05368 DSF PLA. That civil suit for forfeiture with regards to the real property known as the Viceroy's Hermitage Beverly Hills Hotel. Alright, it's an application by DOJ for judgment in default against Joe Low and his companies. Now, interestingly, this is the order confirming judgment in default against Joe Low and the other companies under his control. You got that? Take your handphone, photostat the judgment in default, WhatsApp, spread far and wide throughout Malaysia. You got it? The names in which judgment default has been entered, starting with Joe Low and his other companies. Got it? Alright? And you can see it's LBH Real Estate Beverly Hills LLC, Hermitage Hotel Development LLC, Joe Tech Low, J-Well Capital Limited, Winton Real Estate Beverly Hills LLC, and all other potential claimants except his siblings, Loh Hock Beng the father, Goh Get Yew, Loh Teck Zen, and Loh Meng Lin, who has entered appearance. But the other names has failed to enter appearance, that's why judgment in default. Okay, that is the first breaking news which I want to bring to your attention. The second breaking news is this. There is a particular hall under the pen name called the Third Force, who wrote an article against me. This is the title of the article. Alright? That appeared in Malaysia Today. Some people said that the author of this article could be Raja Petra Kamaruddin. But let me assure you everyone, Raja Petra has no balls to write such rubbish against me or to attack me, because he knows that if he attacks me or write rubbish and tell lies, I will whack him so much that he will not survive. That's why I've ignored all his rubbish. But this man, whoever he is, who's writing this article by the name of Third Force, is a political whore, a prostitute that do things for money. At least in the real world, a prostitute gives gratification to his customer. But this numbskull, this whore, this political whore, doesn't give anything but lies. Now, Very interesting. This is what he says. Carefully, take your handphone the first step. When Matthias and Khairuddin traveled to the US to meet FBI officials, they were secretly assisted by FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, the same McCabe who attended US Attorney General's Loretta Lynch 20th July 2016 press conference. This was the press conference in which Loretta Lynch announced the filing of a civil forfeiture complaint to recover more than $1 billion in assets, which was alleged to be stolen from 1MDB, a sovereign wealth fund wholly owned by the government of Malaysia. Okay? The second statement was this. But did you guys know that information Matthias and Khairuddin Fed McCabe team was leaked from the Securities Commission and Bank Negara, BNM, to the bank's former governor, Tan Sri Zeti Akhtar Aziz? It might also interest you to know that some of the documents Matthias had in his possession was channeled to him by the former Attorney General of Malaysia, Tan Sri Abdul Ghani Patel, who secured these documents to the chief editor of Sarawak Report, Claire Recastle Brown. And the third statement is this. Matthias, after his trip to the US, got in touch with Lynch and waved the green flag, telling her it was okay to go ahead with the 20th July 2006 press statement. The green light was said to have been communicated by Matthias to Lynch sometime in June 2015. How did I go so far, Matthias? This was a challenge by the political hall. And he told me to the whole world that if I don't refute this article, it means it's gospel truth. I do one better than that. Since he say he has all the evidence and he's a political whore, alright, and so desperate for money, I'm making an offer not only to this political whore, third force, but anyone in Malaysia. 1 million ringgit. Give me the evidence. Show to the whole world. And I give the reward of 1 million to this whore, this scumbag, this liar. He's so desperate to lie for his political masters, for the criminal cabal, he invents stories. This is where I caught him. For years I've been waiting to find such a mistake to be committed by this whore. And he's given me on silver platter. In desperation to promote fake news as truth, to do the bidding of his master, he invented a story. The entire article is fraud, but I don't have to go to every one of them. It's enough for me to show, if he can produce the evidence as per these 4 paragraphs, 1 million ringgit, not only to the whore, but to any member of the criminal cabal, to any member of the UMNO cabal, or the public who support this whore, 1 million ringgit. And now to his challenge. Why should I prove to you? You now owe the burden of proof to the entire country because you say you have the evidence. I'm now willing to pay you 1 million for the evidence. See, whore. Now you understand, my fellow Malaysians, I've been talking about how the government, the cabal, the regime promotes propaganda and lies and into enthusiasm to try to destroy me. They fall into my trap. And now they don't know how to get out at all. So I'm giving them the inducement to get out of that trap. 1 million ringgit. To anyone in Malaysia, more so this whore, this scumbag, this liar, bring the evidence. Put on television. Don't have to go to court. Waste of time. Call a press conference. Show the evidence. My passport, my visa that I went to America on those days which she alleged. Simple as that. 1 million ringgit. With that, I will stop on my breaking news on these 2 items. The last of which is a lesson to all Malaysians who are easily misled by fake news and propaganda. Now, coming back to share my experience with Tun Mahathir, one of the topics today which I want to show to you, to explain to you, is the consequences of what would happen if Najib remained the Prime Minister and UMNO cabal and leaders who fail to put Allah first or the country first. Because they fail to have what I call two disciplines: honesty, intellectual honesty, one discipline, and second discipline is the ability to have a long view of things, to see far ahead. That's why, let me share this with you. One of the reasons why Tun Mahathir is so determined to expose the truth and all the crimes of the cabal, because he's aware of the long-term repercussions and the destruction which this country has faced or will face before the year is out, 2017. This is how serious and how dire, if for any reason the Najib cabal remains in office. Now, you will recall recently that the Najib regime has prostituted our country's assets to a foreign power, China. Two huge land assets and energy assets and other assets to follow. Now, of course, some Chinese chauvinists, businessmen, fat cats, comprados are laughing and so happy that in that process their pockets will be lined and they'll be filthy rich. But let me warn these Chinese comprados and to all the Malays in this country and all the Indians, I hereby call them traitors of the first order. They will be as comprados, as scumbag subservients, political slaves to China, will destroy China in conjunction with the criminal element of the regime. Why do I say that? There is now, taking a long view, a tense life and death struggle between two powers, America and China, for control of the South China Sea. And China cannot allow America to encircle China and to potentially have a blockade against China. This is understandable from the point of China's self-interest, national interest. That's why China is willing to pump in billions of money, even to bail out Najib from what MDB debts, because from their point of view, China's survival comes first. But for those involved in those deals with China, they're not putting Malaysia first, our country's survival first. They have sold their soul for a bag of gold. Remember this famous Shakespearean drama play, Shylock? Yes. These are the people. And some of these Chinese fat cats, comprados, has gone beyond doing business with China. There's nothing wrong in doing business with any country. But these Chinese fat cats, as personified as members of NGOs, Chinese NGOs, and the Kuala Lumpur Chinese Assembly Hall, have conducted dealings and political relationships with the Chinese Communist Party. That is very serious. Why are they having party dialogues, relationships with the Chinese Communist Party? And even sending young people, some of these leaders, to be indoctrinated and trained by the Chinese Communist Youth Organization. So let me give a warning to everyone in Malaysia. We have traitors in our midst, as personified by the fat cats, Chinese comprados, and opportunist NGOs, Chinese chauvinists. And let me give a warning to all these Chinese chauvinists. When it comes to push and shove the survival of the country, I will stand with the Malay comrades and other patriots against you for your treachery. For your treachery. Now, having said that, let me tell each and every Malaysian, I'm not hyping. This is my analysis from deep research. When China comes in such a big way into Malaysia to control key sectors of our economy and to have control of ports, our critical national security infrastructure, believe you me, you scumbags, Chinese comprados, you scumbag members of the cabal, America, NATO, and UK will not tolerate this. And there will be a backlash, because no way will USA, UK, NATO allow China to dominate the most critical country in ASEAN. Malaysia, look at the map, Malaysia. It controls the Straits of Malacca, North Point and South Point. It's no brainer. You don't require to be a genius to know how strategic is Malaysia. So there'll be a backlash. And China has not learned from their nasty experience in Libya. China invests heavily in Libya in the oil and gas industry. Libya is the richest African country when Gaddafi was in charge. There were at least 30,000 Chinese engineers and technicians in the oil and gas industry in Libya. But of course, the USA and Britain and NATO had other reasons to destroy Libya. One of which was a potential threat of a Chinese-dominated Libya. And China was given short notice. Get out of Libya, because we intend to bomb Libya, turn it into a failed state, and murder Gaddafi. Am I telling a lie? Is this a joke? Have you not watched the TV, CNN, and other main media in America interviewing Hillary Clinton after Gaddafi was murdered and the country turned into chaos? She said, "We came, we saw, and he died." And her own ambassador was murdered, raped, sodomized before she was murdered. She could be bothered. She could be bothered. Because that terrible time, Obama and Hillary and NATO wanted to destroy Libya. And China lost billions in investments, infrastructure investments, oil and gas investments, and his people. They had to rush back to China just prior to the massive bombing. Let me tell you, this will happen to Malaysia. If we allow unfettered invasion of Chinese money into Malaysia, believe you me, this can happen. Now, I do not say this out of fantasy. I'm a student of history. I read widely to understand how the war party thinks, how they prepare for war. years in advance. Okay? So I'm going to ask you now, for those people who refuse to listen to me, likewise, on my previous address, I told you to read and buy and read the book by Pippa Malmgren, Signals. How geopolitical situations, signals, will give us information as to who they will attack in the future, financially, militarily, and politically. This book, Pretext of War, I first read in 2004. I've been reading it many times. All right? It's by Benford, an expert in war, how wars are prepared. All right? I'm not lying to you. I bought this in 2004. I've read it many times. I'm still reading it. Pretext for War by James Benford. In 2005, I wrote my own book, the bestseller, The Future Fast Forward Trilogy, Volume 1. This is the American edition, a bestseller in America. And in page 189, all the way to 193, I've exposed for the first time, not in Southeast Asia, but also in the Middle East, the ordered Enon plan, the Zionist plan for the destruction, division of all Muslim countries. Even before the war of 1991 against Iraq, and even before the war of invasion in 2003, ordered Enon, a strategist, a Zionist strategist in 1980, said that it is the global plan for the Zionists to break up Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Kuwait, Bahrain, Yemen, even Saudi Arabia, and the Muslim countries of Malaysia and Indonesia. This is the plan. I didn't say it, they have said it. So you're an asshole, Muslims in this country. If having declared their aim, their global aim, you ignore it, you ignore it at your peril. And the Najib regime, in the hurry to save themselves out of one Amdin fiasco, has created a geopolitical nightmare and threat to the survival of our country. Okay. It's another book called The Cause of War. It traces history. How wars are lucrative. With the instruction of each country, the war party there goes in to rebuild the country. It's a huge business. Alright? The Cause of War by Denson. And finally, there's a book by James Carroll, The House of War, referring to the Pentagon. I'm not giving you these titles, these books, for fun. Because a lot of you have a screwed idea, and because you cannot imagine this happening in the world, you think this is propaganda account and fantasies. Reality is what I'm saying to you now. That is reality. And this country will be devastated. And no one in UMNO, MCA, Gerakan or BN is aware of this threat. What is most hideous, most inflammatory, downright hideous, is when MCA leaders boasting and bragging that they will bring Chinese investment to Malaysia. They are critical. Therefore, vote for them, so that the Chinese has a voice in the government. Let me say to these idiotic MCA leaders, there will be no government, no Malaysia, when the USA and the global war party who is against the rise of China, will allow Malaysia to be what it is, a vassal state of China. No way. They will destroy Malaysia the same way they destroyed Libya, Iraq, and Syria. Guarantee you. So please, take me seriously. If you don't read those books, which I ask you to read, or do your own research, don't you dare open your mouth and criticize Tun Mahathir, and was trying to how and why he's working so much, 16-hour day to save the country. Because I'll come after you, and I'll label all those people who are in a state of denial, who refuse to accept truth, that you are now, I will label all of you as conscious traitors to our country. And the punishment of treason is death penalty. Because you are collaborating with China, not knowing that, and I said wrong. I'm not condemning China, because their own self-interest, they have to protect their own self-interest. But you in Malaysia should know better. You cannot sell the soul, the moral fiber of our country for pennies. You can't do that. You do that, you betray the country, the king, and our flag. And by God, no way will I do that. I'll give my life and I'll shed my blood to defend our flag, our king, and our country against all these traitors. Now, I'm telling you something very serious. It's very easy to create havoc in Malaysia. Before the war started in Syria, Syria was always peaceful. There was no Sunni-Shia divide. Christians were protected. Jews were protected. It was a harmonious country. Okay? Overnight, Muslims were sent to Syria to kill fellow Muslims on the pretext of Sunni and Shia divide. And all kind of pretexts. The army was broken, stretched to its limits, until Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia came to the aid against the evil plans of the Israelis, Zionist Israelis, under Oded Enon, and the false Muslim Obama and Clinton. Look at this map of Malaysia. There are three key flashpoints which a foreign war party will destroy us. In Sabah, it's already ongoing. Sabah is already ongoing, right? Insurgencies from Mindanao. That can be easily intensified. And our army, okay, has a hard time coping. They're doing quite well now, but it's not a full-fledged war. In the north of Malaysia, bordering Thailand, we have a problem. Muslim against the Buddhists. And now with the Myanmars, from Myanmar, Rohingyas, two Buddhist states are poised on the north of our country. They can be easily instigated, provoked to create flashpoints. Our army will be caught in two war fronts, split by a big ocean. And the south is Singapore and Johor. Another flashpoint, because if such a war breaks out, just turmoil breaks out, I can assure you, with the blessing of America, to destabilize Malaysia so that it will be not within orbit of China, Singapore may be provoked and may even be daring to take part of Johor on the pretext of securing the water supply under the agreement. They may even occupy Johor. Some of you may not know that within Singapore, higher circles, intelligence, army, they even have a plan to invade Malaysia up to Malacca. It's not only you, it's an old story. But they're kept in check because there's no basis for such provocation. But if Malaysia is a victim of geopolitical planning and counterattack against China's ambition, we will be the victim. We will be the victim. No army can fight on three fronts. No army. And right now, our army, our military, our Navy, Air Force will not be able to cope on three fronts. Just in Syria, all right? You have the southern front, Iraq. The eastern front, Turkey. And the northern front, Israel. Three fronts. The geopolitical forces use three fronts to attack Syria, to create so much murder and mayhem. Millions left Syria. Over 500,000 have been slaughtered, murdered, raped, burned alive. And some of them were burned alive in the name of Allah. Those false Muslims, ISIS. So what I'm saying to you is not beyond reality. It's coming. That's why it's so important for everyone now to understand the urgency, the determination of Tun Mahathir to rally the entire country to stop this slide down the path of no return. We are already broken. If we continue like this, we'll be smashed to smithereens. This is what I learned. Tun has the ability and the wisdom to take a long view, to see beyond the current short-term political infightings. It's come as a shock to you. Alright? I've talked to many people in intelligence. Let me mention to you, besides Tun Mahathir, I also learned from a great man, which I can't disclose his name because in intelligence you can't disclose names. But this man is a guru. His life is rich in intelligence experience. And he can tell you what happened during konfrontasi with Sukarno and other places. And one day, our country will honor him properly for what he has done through the intelligence, working under the radar to save Malaysia. Not once, but many times. This is how dire the situation. Now, next point I want to come to you, talk to you is this. People ask me, Matthias, in your last address, you said that the rot started when Pak La took over as Prime Minister and aggravated by Najib. How can you say that? They have a vision. Well, let me ask you. Recently, right, Najib announced Vision 2050. Am I right? But no substance. He then said, a young punk, Khairi, will formulate the plan for 2050. You see? It's hot air. All thunder, no rain. All thunder. As opposed to Tun Mahathir's Vision 2020. Who could have thought way back that we have a target to achieve developed status by 2020? Yet, since Pak La's time, 2003, we're 17 years to achieve 3 more years. They've done nothing. Now, isn't it odd? Have you not asked this question? Why would Najib ask Khairi, Jamaluddin to draw the master plan for 2050. He was in power, fourth floor boys, in Pak La's administration, the regime. Why did he come up with 2050? Or any other visionary objective? He had all the power, the access, the facilities. Instead, what? KPI. And with his so-called friends in the financial circles, banks, investment banks, they were more interested in making money, enriching themselves. Not one initiative. Not one initiative. So, that shows, right, how stupid. To entrust this man with the future of Malaysia up to 2050. Now, let's go to specifics. Every community in this country has crown jewels. Politically, because of the nature, historical situation, we have three communities, basically three big communities, like Chinese, Malay, Indians. And we are tasked with building the country by building our relative success. It's like a family. Elder brother, elder sister, younger sisters, all working together. Each contribute to the family. Now tell me, all of you in UMNO, especially UMNO, what are the crown jewels of the Malay community that was created by Pak La from 2003 to 2009? Name any. That he has created, has impact on the economy, on the political survival of the Malay community and the future of Malaysia. Name. I'm telling you, zilk. Now name any crown jewels of Najib that would enrich or has enriched the Malay community as well as the country. Name any crown jewels. I already referred to, right, previously in my address. MRT is not a crown jewel. It's mere extension. The tall building is a property play. It's not a crown jewel. But then Malaysia has prostituted to China. TRX, his father's name after his father, Tun Raza Exchange, sold to China. Energy assets. And worst of all, his father's legacy, Felda, has been cannibalized, hollowed out, all right, by that stupid corporatization exercise, where now the shares are worth almost, right, below par. What crown jewels has he got to show for his leadership? But instead, we have been humiliated, shamed, and condemned by the whole world as a past country. It's been investigated as the largest kleptocracy investigation by DOJ USA. And the China Kwai Zhou Lo, this scoundrel, has brought shame to our country as well as to the Chinese community. Funny, the Malay community, the red shirts, all right? You attack the Chinese, the ordinary Chinese, hardworking Chinese, like you, working hard for the country. But you don't even raise a voice against this China Kwai, this traitor, Zhou Lo, and his family, and all the Chinese crooks in Singapore. Shame, shame, shame. Can you see the contradiction that you have? What you've done in this country? But let us examine now, objectively. If you have intelligent honesty, you can say straight away, okay, the crown jewels that Tun Mahathir and his government has created for Malaysia in general and the Malay community in particular. So wake up, please. Wake up, please. This is very important for you to understand. And Tun Mahathir was able to do that, create crown jewels that will last years and years because he has a discipline of intellectual honesty. He knew what was the weakness of Malaysia. He strove to overcome this weakness and built and strengthened our country to be the 17th largest trading nation. And I take a long view being a small country, we must expand our markets. That's why he had the Langkawi Dialogue. Langkawi Dialogue. And brought the nations of Africa to come together. South-South Dialogue. Today, that dialogue has been jettisoned. If Tun Mahathir was not right in the outreach, why would America recently establish Africa Command to control Africa? Way after Tun Mahathir reached out to Africa to come together as developing nations. Another example of swing thinking was his East Asia Elite Caucus, EAEC, to transform whole of ASEAN region and East Asia. He was condemned, attacked by Clinton and other leaders of the Asia Pacific countries. But he persisted and persisted. Today we have ASEAN plus 3. Same concept but different name. Now how did Tun Mahathir see beyond our shores without offending any of the giants in geopolitics? We reach out. We were able to punch above our weight, even though small, because we showed the whole world. We are friends to all, enemies to none. Respect our sovereignty. Respect our integrity and our independence. That's why he built ASEAN plus 3 as it is today. His Langkawi Dialogue, South-South Dialogue. He was most active in providing leadership to the non-aligned movement. These are crown jewels of our foreign policy. As a result of which, Malaysia is so respected throughout the 22 years of his administration because of his long view. But today, our foreign policy has brought danger, insecurity, and more seriously, the potential destruction of a backlash from USA, Israel, and NATO, because we have prostituted ourselves to China to serve the self-interest of Najib. Alright? I will stop here because in part 3, I will go to address some of the harsh criticisms of Tun Mahathir's policy. Those idiots who doesn't do anything, armchair critics, alright, who doesn't do any research, who does not manage any companies, successful companies, and yet they critique Tun Mahathir. I will address that part 3. Alright? But I hope my experience that I shared with you today, why it's so important to have a long view, to have the intellectual honesty. Because if you don't have intellectual honesty, you can't be analyzing and warning your fellow countrymen what I'm warning you today. It doesn't require guts. It requires honesty, intellectual honesty. You look at the facts, you face it head on, and you draw the relevant conclusions. And I'll show you, not one think tank in Malaysia has even bothered to do the research I've done to you and show to you this morning. But I'm hopeful that our country will remain strong and will overcome the challenges, provided UMNO do the right thing. If they don't do that, UMNO will be in the rubbish heap of history. And as usual, let me say to all of you once again, because you must have that faith and that confidence. Surrender to the will of God completely. Have faith, absolute faith, that He will protect us, defend us, and guide us under all circumstances in the face of all enemies, adversities, and challenges. Because that faith gives you clarity, sustains you to look at truth and reality without seeking excuses. What we need now today are leaders who has a moral strength and fiber and intellectual honesty, not power hungry assholes, not gangster politicians, false champions. And a final reminder once more, to all Malaysians. Open your eyes. Expose Chinese chauvinists who are now collaborating as comprados, fat cats with the Chinese. I'm not blaming China. I'm blaming our chauvinist traitors within our ranks, as well as those Malay traitors who sold our soul to China. With that, I wish you a good day. I look forward to talking to you again in part 3. God bless you all and be healthy. Thank you.